just going to mute myself. I'm just going to stop pushing the button.
Okay, that's good. All right, I'm going to say this again.
I can't see you, but it says video preview on the top of my apple tree. So I don't know what that does. Doesn't do anything. Should I try it again? I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I just can't see you when you talk.
Is there a cancel?
No, I can't see anything except
me. Is there a cancel option?
Cancel. Yeah, but I tried it, but it didn't do anything. Come on. I got an X up there and it won't do anything. What a pain in the neck. Sorry. Don't even worry about it. If I can't see you, I can hear you. That's the important part.
Okay. So I'm trying to open the meeting. So it's now 1 minute later since the first time I tried to open the meeting. So I'd like to open the meeting at 6:32. The meeting of the Select Board on February 1st, Groundhog Day. Is it Groundhog Day?
Yes.
Tomorrow is.
Tomorrow is?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Second. You want a second?
Sure. I'll always take a second. So I'm imagining we'll do a roll call. Dave?
Present.
Dee?
Here.
And I'm here, Chris. And Dana's here and Russ is here. So tonight, all I could see that was on anything was discussion of the budget, which is our primary reason for being tonight. But we want to probably take a look at that false alarm policy.
I was thinking, Chris, that yes, you would talk about the budget and decide who's speaking to what on Thursday.
Yeah.
As well as review the warrant articles that provided you with. Also, you need to make a decision on what day the business portion of the town meeting will be. April 17th or May 8th. And finally, I do have that ordinance for the fire department, and I don't expect you to act on it tonight, but I thought we'd start discussion.
Okay. So let's see. So the top of your agenda probably looks like we'll talk about the budget.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we all go to the budget? And Dana sent out a corrected copy of said budget a little while ago. And so that's in SharePoint. What is the difference between the corrected and the other one, Dana? Just in case.
Well, it was the Article 6 from last year appropriated $41,500 for the police vehicle, of which $39,500 was to come from the capital reserve funds and $2,000 from the trade-in of the car. The actual total amount was $37,000 something. I've got it here. $37,000. And that did not go through the town books because it was paid directly by the trustees. And it looked like we had raised the money and didn't spend it. I talked to the auditors this afternoon, and they suggested that even though that transaction did not go through the town books, to show it as being spent against the $41,500. It's in the capital outlay section on page 7 under police cruiser, and you'll see it was $41,500, and we spent $37,792, which all came out of the capital reserve fund.
Okay.
Is there a way to maybe make it easier for people to see how much goes out of the capital reserve or expendable trust funds, and then maybe put this in that instead of as a capital outlay? Because it seems, even though it was a warrant article, it seems a little bit weird to see it show up as basically a bill, even though we didn't actually, like, we were putting into the fund, not putting straight to the cruiser. Because
Well, that's not what you voted on though last year. That 41.5 was included in the appropriations. So I guess I would suggest, I mean, we certainly could make, I could work with Therese and come up with a list of, most of them with the highway related bills that get paid directly from the trust funds. Since those don't go through the town books, I think it does lose something. Normally, a town would pay it and then get reimbursement from the capital reserve fund. And that might even happen at the end of the year or some period certain. Which was my problem with this issue. And it was, you know, we had the 41.5 that was there, but nothing had spent. So I was trying to show that indeed the money was used. We can do a report. It's in the trustees report, but I'm not sure how, if it shows it as straightforward as you might like. But I could work on something and
yeah, I'm not thinking that we need, like, you know, all of each individual bill for highway and stuff like that. I'm just thinking there's got to be a way to make this easy for people who aren't us, with, you know, having gone through months of this discussion.
Right.
There's got to be a way to make it easy for people to understand, as opposed to, well, you spent this money, that should have come from trust funds.
Right. Well, and I guess I was trying to show that, yes, we did spend this money.
I suppose we can show, because we do have a revenue report that gets put in the town report at the same time as the budget. So I suppose we can show it there as a revenue, and then.
Well, that's where the other part of it will be. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wendy is going to be working on the revenue, a revenue report, and maybe she would have that done at the end of the day on Wednesday. We could ship it to you so you have it.
So, Dana, because of the way that because of the fact that the trustees paid for the cruiser essentially, is there something that do we need to do something here? Or will an explanation of those figures suffice?
I don't think you need to do anything. I think that if we had a report showing, well, there will be a report in the town report of the trustees' balances, etc. But I guess maybe a separate little section showing what was purchased using capital reserve and or the other expendable trust funds. It might be helpful because we have all the road related items, the VHB bills, the purchase of the property on Battle Street and back of the police station, and the car that came out of the capital reserve funds.
I would imagine that would also be, I can't remember the name of the company, but Aaron Darrow's company for the White Plains engineering work as well.
I don't, since I've been there, we haven't paid any right angle articles.
Yeah, I
Mine
haven't
are-
seen one
Yeah,
in a
Okay.
really long time.
yeah. So, no, it wouldn't be this year, but at some point, probably it will be.
Okay. So to answer your question, Chris, we don't have to do anything like a motion or that sort of thing for this.
No.
But we will need to, most likely the easiest way to say it is you're seeing capital outlay for the police cruiser because it was a special warrant article. And so in order to reflect that accurately in the budget, it shows up both as revenue from the trust fund and an expenditure here.
Okay. Okay, so what we have done in the past when we have been preparing for a budget hearing is we look at the warrant articles first of all, and figure out which of us is going to talk to which warrant article. And
So I basically already said that I'm happy to talk about any part of the budget or the warrants except for the why can't I think of it now? Conservation stuff, just because you're the most appropriate for that. So whatever people want to take, feel free, and whatever's left over, I'm okay handling.
okay, so I need to get back to, I'm still very bad at switching back and forth on my screen here between one thing and another. So I'm finally back at the town warrant. I can't wait until we're really meeting in person again, so we can. Oh my God, such a pain in the butt. So, all right, wait. I need to get out of this and go to the town warrant. Okay. So, Dee, are you looking at the town warrant?
I can't find it, but I will, whatever you guys want me to do, I'll do it.
Well,
It's probably helpful then to just
I was
go
going to
through.
say, it didn't have many warrant articles like normally. You used to have
No.
15 articles, so I like less articles.
Yeah, it probably makes sense just to go through them and
right.
say, this is what they are. So one is announcing town officer elections. Of course, you're both running unopposed, so that'll probably be pretty obvious unless somebody does a super write-in option. Two is the generic, this is our overall budget. Three is all of the capital reserve funds. Four is all of the expendable trust funds. Five is the contingency fund. Six is the Pillsbury Lake Dam. Eight, I skipped seven. Eight is just, any other business that legally comes up. And seven was the write-in, which is the, quote, New Hampshire Resolution for Fair Nonpartisan Redistricting. Which
I would say
whoever wrote it should probably talk about it.
Right, that's what I would say. Exactly.
I believe Sally Embley plans to do that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I'll do the Pillsbury Lake one. I'll do whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, why don't you do the Pillsbury Lake one?
Okay.
And do you want to also do the contingency fund?
Yep. Sure, I can do that.
Okay. And then I'll do 3 and 4. And let's see. So on the first one, well,
I think the first one with the camp winners and stuff, wouldn't that be the moderator?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
We don't have to worry about that one.
No.
Right.
So, okay. And then, so let's talk for a minute, Dave, about how you're going to handle number 2.
Sure.
What was your approach going to be?
My approach was going to be to basically do a quick overview of, a couple minutes of like, this is what's going on. And basically, because we've got the like executive and then elections, registration, vital statistics, financial administration, and so on and so forth. And I was basically going to say like, executive is down 0.03%. This reflects a reduction in the technology equipment that is required thanks to having the, is it ETF or CR? Thanks to having the technology fund in the ETFs, and then an increase because we have 2 workers now at town hall. Elections, registration, vital statistics is down 8.17% because this is not a presidential election year. And basically do that through the section of them and then summarize the whole thing. Budget is up, down this percent. And I would have done the same thing with, for example, capital reserves and ETFs, but if you're covering those, I won't add that in.
Okay, so my only thing is keep it simple. If instead of it sounds crazy, but saying ETFs and CRFs, just say the words.
Oh yeah, but I'm just pointing that out because that's where it is for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you weren't gonna,
because you guys already know that.
Yeah. Okay. So, some of this stuff
my basic
is
plan to go through.
okay. You don't need to go through each section. I don't think. Some of the stuff is pretty mundane.
Oh yeah, like once we get down to say emergency management, it'll be like, emergency management, other public safety, sanitation, these things have not highways and streets, even though that's a large one, these things have not changed for their budgeting. That's basically all that needs to be said. I think they should be mentioned because they're a high level block in the budget there, but other than that, yeah.
So for general government buildings, for example, somebody might have a question on how the solar array is impacting the amount of electricity we use, the amount of money we spend on electricity. So maybe that's something to prepare for. Otherwise, the rest of that stuff is pretty mundane. So's the next section on propane.
Even that is pretty mundane because the short version is that electricity that we have to pay for doesn't change. So anything from the solar array comes in as revenue. So you're not going to see it here in the budget.
Okay, so that's a good thing to say. Yeah. The cemeteries, the people might wonder about insurance, the increase in insurance. But, any place where there's something that really stands out.
Oh, insurance, yes.
Yeah.
You said it under cemeteries. I'm like, wait a minute, cemetery?
Oh, no, sorry.
I thought I heard that too, and I was wondering what the heck.
But yes.
No, I'm just going down through this.
Insurance goes up because insurance is more expensive now. And that's the biggest thing. Police goes up mainly for wages so that we are competitive with other towns and the sheriff so that we don't lose our investments and our trained time.
Right.
Let's see. Oh, sorry. Ambulance is up because the cost of the ambulance share with Hopkinton is more expensive now.
Right.
There's nothing we can do about it. Fire is the same except for the dispatch service, which is more expensive this year, so we have to pay a little bit more for that. It's fairly easy to go down the list and just.
It's just that there's no need to go down the entire list, is what I'm saying. Just the places where there's a dramatic change, and then people might have. Hopefully, somebody's going to be there to listen to this, and hopefully, people are going to have questions. So.
Yeah, I'm going to write up like an overview thing that'll be a couple paragraphs that I will just read off instead of scrolling down through all of this when I do it. But yeah, not a big deal.
And
And once we
conservation,
go through all of the, once we go through that in the budget hearing and it's, okay, this is the final version that we're going to actually vote on at town meeting, then if you don't mind, I would actually like to do a short video of me explaining it, showing some of those sections and talking about it so that we can post that and make it really easy for everybody to have seen and understand it ahead of time.
okay, we don't know whether we're going to be able to actually have any kind of screen at town meetings since it's going to be outside.
Well, this would be for me to put up, for example,
I
on
understand.
YouTube,
I was
like a
just
week
gonna say
after
that.
the.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, yeah. So, and with, you know, with things like Conservation Commission, which is no change, where there's no change, don't even bother talking about them.
I think I would have probably what I would do is skip them all, and then the last line would be, and these have no change. And,
Yeah, that's fine.
And list them. So
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, well, that seems pretty simple. And I think it's a really good idea to make a PowerPoint available before the meeting. So we can come back to this if we need to, but let's talk about the meeting for a minute, if everybody's okay with that. Did everybody see the note from Mike Jetty?
Yep.
Okay, Dee, did you see that?
No, when was this?
That came through. Dana, I don't think that Dee can get on her email.
Oh,
I had troubles with my email for the town.
okay.
No, on that.
Has she ever been actually set up with an email?
She has, but Dee and I need to sit down with that little computer and get her connected, which we are going to do very soon.
Yes, we are this week after the snow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't come in tomorrow, but anyway.
No.
But we need to do that. And so if you have the email, but I don't think you can access it. So we need to straighten it out.
Here, I'll actually, are you able to see what's in the screen now, Dee? Or are you still
all I
unable to
see is
us?
me. I don't see you, and it still says waiting, and I don't know, maybe I should just turn it off and start all over again.
If you want to do that, then I'll share the screen that shows what Mike was showing us.
Okay.
Then you can.
I don't know what's going to happen, so let me try again.
Videos.
It still says waiting. My head's on there.
So you're on an iPad, right?
Yep.
So when
it says video preview, which I never had it say video preview. The only thing I probably did wrong is I was down here 15 minutes earlier, so I got the website and all, and then I went upstairs and you guys are already here.
So what I would do is double tap your home button, and that'll bring up the application switcher.
Oh, I see that. Oh my God.
And then swipe off Zoom so that it closes, and then click on the link again, and you should come back.
And in the meantime, hi, Dan White out there.
Welcome.
And Michelle, is that our Michelle?
Yes. Yes,
Hi, Michelle.
Is everything okay after the emergency closing this afternoon?
Oh, well, so glad the weatherman was so accurate and it was going to start snowing at 3 o'clock, which it did not.
No, we noticed that. We noticed that, Michelle. There was a line outside your office and they were clamoring.
Well, I did hear of already a disgruntled resident. So my apologies to that resident.
Oh.
But they can blame the weatherman.
All right, and Dee is coming back. She's connecting to audio. All right, we can see Dee. She is currently muted. I'm sure she'll get that sorted in 1 second.
My share screen is disabled. Why
all
is
right,
my share
screen disabled? Can you see us all, Dee?
Yeah, I can. That's great.
Perfect. Share screen typically only shows up for co-hosts and hosts.
Oh, well, excuse me. Suppose I
Nothing
wanted
is
to
broken.
share my screen.
Then I'm sure that Russ or Dana would allow you to do so. So this here is
Oh yeah,
what
I
we
see
got
that.
sent.
Oh, nice.
And this is basically what they were setting up. And let's see here.
Yeah, this is John Pearson's idea, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
Well,
And since we have Michelle with us, I'll let Michelle talk about it since Michelle,
That's
Sarah,
not what I
Nancy,
came on
etc.
board for. Essentially, I think this is a great description that Mike put together. We're thinking we'll be able to utilize the courtyard so that we'll have a closer proximity to electricity. And the parking, we were going to reserve the back part of the gym for handicap parking. And we wanted to close down the playground so that it wouldn't be distracting if folks had to sit further back into that area. We didn't want a lot of background noise so they couldn't hear the meeting going on.
how are you gonna? How are you gonna close the playground? Fencing like?
No, I don't know if we would put up signs and so forth. Maybe tie the swings up, something to that effect. Surveyor's tape around the equipment.
Okay.
It'll only be for. Hopefully, the meeting won't go super long.
Hey, if it's
so
like
the
last
throngs
year,
of kids don't come bother us.
Said like a true father, Dave.
Hey, if they want to come get interested, well, by all means.
We're going to encourage folks to bring their own lawn chairs,
good idea.
so we don't have to schlep them. We're not all handling them.
Over there. Let me turn on the thing.
So, let's see. Can I, so this is lovely looking at this. I want to not look at this. So do I have an option of getting rid of this screen? Oh, there we go. There we go. So I wanted,
Hey, Michelle.
so, Dee,
Yeah.
what Mike wrote to us is that all the electioneers met and talked about this. So they're, we're going to try to hold the elections on the 9th of March as scheduled, because we've got that down. They've got that down. That we would hold the business meeting April 17th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Figuring that the later in the day in April, the warmer it might be. So I think that's good. They have a weather postponement date of May 8th at 1 o'clock p.m. So that sounds good to me. So the school's going to assist with custodial coverage, electricity tables and chairs, although we're going to encourage people to bring their own chairs. Let's see, the PD and the fire department should be present on 127 to slow traffic and help people cross the street. And so then he brought up the issue of the Executive Order 83, Sununu's executive order, saying that there's no longer a question about when new officers could be seated. This will happen after the town meeting date, but that's another reason not to delay the town meeting too long. So I've heard from some people that they would prefer to have it in May or June, but that is a really good excuse to have the meeting sooner rather than later. Let's see. He said that the school may have a PA system to help us We have a PA system in the town hall, although I don't know how mobile it is. Bruce would know that. Let's see. He says that there was talk about using an FM system for handicap voters so that they can remain in their cars. He's not sure it's going to be necessary, but let's see. He's not sure that a screen and projector makes a lot of sense outside.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
If it's the nice weather we hope for, the screen and projector won't show up very well.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And so in terms of our mask policy, Mike and Michelle and all were suggesting masks be required inside that U area right behind the school. And then the back area near the tree can be reserved for the maskless ones. So Michelle, was there something that you wanted to add to that?
Nothing comes to mind right at the moment, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
What is that noise?
I don't know. Dana's wife is tearing the place down.
She was giving the dog a dog treat.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
So no. So I think I mean it all sounds good to me. What do you all think?
But to me, I think it's great to be outside.
I think that's a good idea. My question for it is not against any of that. I like all of that. My question is, does anybody have appropriate video gear for recording this, much like we would normally stream the whole thing through Town Hall Streams in Town Hall? I don't believe that we will stream it live because people can certainly show up, and then watching live doesn't really help in this instance, but we should definitely record it and then upload it. And that's easy enough to do. If someone has appropriate equipment for it, I'd rather have that get used. If they don't, then I can just set my iPad up and record it that way for us. But
an iPad would actually work really well, I think. Anybody speaking, they would have to come up to the front anyway, and we would have them all stand as near to you as possible, Dave.
Well, I would just set it up on, like, if I'm doing it with my iPad, I'll just set it up on a tripod and tell it to record for the duration of the meeting.
Okay.
But if someone has an appropriate camera or something that would do that better, then that would be great to have, and they can set that up and maybe have appropriate tripods instead of my makeshiftiness. But obviously not something that it's worth the town spending money to go do. But if someone in town has some of this that plans to attend, that would be really good to hear about.
Well, maybe Dee, is this something that you could stick in the next grapevine and ask?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good idea. We have time.
Because, I mean, the town meeting, it's going to be better if it's a collaborative effort anyway. So
I know we used to have a girl that used to always have a video camera at town meeting, and she ended up moving to Vermont with her kids. So I know she's not around. Well, I'm sure there's people in this town that have good cameras and all of that stuff.
Well, my iPhone takes really good movies.
Absolutely.
So, but your iPad should as well, right?
I mean, it's been fairly well abused at this point, but yes, it'll still do fine.
Okay.
But if someone has actual high grade stuff, that will do better.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good thought.
The second thought would be for us doing presentations, especially if we're doing some sort of video and or projecting out for everybody to hear, we may want to actually put ourselves across the front so we're a lot further away than the 6 feet, and then not have to have masks on us so that it's easy for people to see us, speech read as they're more hard of hearing, etc. I don't know what you think of that idea.
Fine. I think we could stay far apart.
I mean, it looks like it's a 30-something foot area at least. So I think
I just don't know if we're going to have mics, if each one of us is going to have a mic, or if there's going to be a central mic somewhere that we're going to have to walk up to and talk into. That would be a little bit awkward for us. We'll have to work on that. Michelle, did you all talk about that at all at your meeting?
Not that to that detail, Chris, no.
Okay.
You know, the school district has mics for all the school board members. I wonder if we could get something like that, borrow them.
Well, we have mics.
I mean, these are ones already on stands and all that, you know, nice. Not that I liked having them near me when I was on the school board, but each one of us had one. So I'm sure we could get something like that, because I think our town mics are the fat little ones, aren't they?
Well, I think that they're programmed to go through the speakers that are in the town hall, right? I don't know if they're the kind of speakers that would project out through an amp.
Michelle, are the speakers and stuff and mics that we have in town hall, are those locked in the elections area, or are those something that we can get to when I stop in?
They might be under the stage, Dave. They're not in the election closet.
I think
Okay.
they're under the stage.
So Dana, next time that I'm in, we should go just take a look at it and see what's actually there, and
Okay.
we'll know what to say.
Sure.
And, you know, maybe if it looks like we're going to be able to pull this off in April, a couple of weeks ahead of time, we should go over there and have, you know, during the daytime kind of deal, and look at the setup and figure out exactly how we're going to do this, and have Mike with us.
That would make sense.
Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah.
No, actually, do the elections folks, like the checklist folks and Mike, et cetera, have a meeting ahead of time for town meeting, just like they do for normal elections?
You mean the night before or a couple days before?
Yeah, something of that nature.
We might have, I mean, it doesn't mean we can't have one.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if they already do, then that would be a time that would make sense for us to do it. If they don't, then yeah, we can try to schedule something like a week ahead of time.
Well, it might be more beneficial to have it a little sooner than that, Dave, because if there are things you have to round up to make it happen. Oh, no, never mind, because that's before the election.
Right.
Not town meeting. So you'll have
Right.
plenty of time anyway.
Michelle, is there anything that you want to address with us right now about the election?
No, as I said, I was kind of just checking to see if the video would work from the apartment to make sure I could participate on Thursday if needed, or is all.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
you're coming in clear, so
working
you're
great.
good.
This is a weird question to ask, but at these elections, Dee and I are both going to be on that ballot. And so are we supposed to be there all day for the election, or is that considered electioneer?
So if you're doing your own job, you just can't handle the ballot. But if you're doing your job as an election official, then you need to be there.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
you
you
can't
would be
stuff
there
the
as the
ballot
current
box.
select board members. You just can't say, hey, vote for Chris or whatever. Not that, you know, there's going to be a challenge for that at this point on the ballot.
You never know.
Please fill out your ballot completely.
Right.
It could be a secret write-in ballot
It
campaign
could
going.
be. It's happened. It's happened. So, okay. So the elections on election day, it's going to run just like for the presidential election. People are going to be sitting outside, directing people. Same kind of deal.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So Dana, what else do we need cover here?
So I think what you're telling me is that the business meeting is going to be April 17 at 1 with a rain date of May 8 at 1.
Right.
On the court, are we calling it the courtyard in back of the elementary school? Is that the name of the area?
I would call it the basketball court.
Basketball court? Okay.
The basketball courtyard. How about
There you
that?
go. Okay.
There you go.
Wow, that sounds pretty nice. Okay. So that takes care of that. So all I had left then was if you wanted to talk about the ordinance for the fire department. Although Emmett is not here, I did email him on that. What I sent to you is one that Emmett and Phil Mitchell had worked out together some time ago, I guess. I would check the RSA that they know in there. And so I just put it out to you to start the ball rolling.
Yeah, so we talked to them about this, I want to say mid last year, when there was something that Emmett said something about doing it for this year, but I can't remember why that was. And so that was maybe why I thought maybe it needed to be a warrant article or the like, but it doesn't sound like it needs to be.
It's just a policy.
Yeah.
Well, but it is a policy that affects people paying things. So,
but not the townspeople, though.
The ordinance, you don't need to bring that to the town meeting. Obviously, you can put whatever warrant article you like on the warrant, but it isn't necessary to put this on.
Has that been okayed by the attorney and all? Is there a law that we can do that? I mean, it's already.
Yes, many towns have these similar types of agreement. I would send this to have the attorney look it over. I have not done that because it's not finished yet, but I would certainly have send it to NHMA and see what they had to say about it.
Okay.
And does it make more sense to have it separated like this, since we already have a police version of this, instead of amending the police one to include fire?
Well, I thought about that maybe that would be the way to go. Of course, the police are talking about intrusion alarms. I guess a false alarm's a false alarm.
Yeah, if we just make it false alarm or fraudulent call, for example, then that's going to cover everything for either or both.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where these fines came from. If you notice, the police agreement it's a lot less expensive to have a false intrusion alarm than it is a fire alarm.
I think it was based on having to collect everybody and then get the fire apparatus moving, as opposed to a police cruiser's already out and about someplace.
I see that. Okay.
Well, I would say that the firemen. I'm sorry. What was that, Dave?
I was going to say I don't want to put words in for example, Emmett's mouth, but I believe I remember that being the reasoning.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When you have firemen that end up leaving their jobs to go and do something like this alarm, that kind of is not very good.
I think that might be one reason to keep it a separate ordinance.
Okay.
It makes it, I think, more clear.
And I think actually it should be an ordinance rather than a policy.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
Next week is the department head meeting.
wait a
Emmett
minute.
should
Wait,
be.
Dana, what are we done talking about this thing?
I was going to say, I thought Emmett would come next week. So I was talking on the same subject.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
That's right.
Being that it would be an ordinance, we would need a public hearing first, correct, or no?
I think yeah.
I don't think we need a public hearing. I think it needs to be put in the newspaper, and I think it needs to be noticed. But I don't think the legislative body needs to act on it. I think a policy they would.
Well, because policies are easy to write and change and remove and bypass as
But
seen
it's
fit,
all
but
it says
not
that
so
all
much with
that's,
ordinance.
but all that's required for adoption of a policy is majority vote by the legislative body of a municipality.
But an ordinance and a policy are different.
Right. So I'm reading about policies. So with an ordinance, there's a procedure for getting it through, which has to be followed, or else it's.
Yep. And this would be an ordinance, I would imagine. So
Right.
I would think you'd want a public hearing on this.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Yeah.
You need a separate one, or like our public hearing Thursday? That's not, that wouldn't include it. This would have to be separate just for that.
Right. We're not ready to do it yet, but
Okay.
yeah.
does it?
I mean, it could be part of a regular select board meeting, perhaps at the beginning.
Except that a public hearing, I think, well, I suppose a public hearing could be held at the same time as a select board, as long as it's noticed as a public hearing.
Yes.
But a select board meeting doesn't comprise a public hearing, even though it's open to the public, right?
Yeah,
That's
correct.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we're gonna wait to see Emmett then. Okay.
Thank you. That's all I had.
I want to know if Dan, were you here for something specific or just to hang with the cool crowd?
Just excited to, I keep wanting to go somewhere where I'm great looking, and this is the only place I can come to.
We all feel that way, Dan. People look their best on Zoom.
I am just an observer, but thank you for asking.
Okay.
I didn't realize I looked that bad.
Oh, you're the only one. No.
I hate to be the one to tell you, Dana.
So, okay, so if that's the only thing, so everybody knows what they're going to be doing. So on Thursday evening, we're going to open up the budget hearing at 7 p.m. sharp. And we'll just begin going through the warrant.
Chris, I think we have that posted at 6:30.
That's what I was going to go look for.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine, I have it at 7 in my book. 6:30 is
Oh.
fine. If you have
Okay.
it posted for 6:30, I'm all over that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
6:30.
sorry if you meant 7. We posted it for 6:30.
Thursday, February 4th at 6:30.
That's fine. So we'll start at 6:30 sharp, and we'll go through the warrant and pretend that it's town meeting. And Dana, you'll be there to run the, to do the hosting.
Yes.
And so will you make sure that, I guess, here's the thing. This is the whole idea of the budget hearing is for public input on the warrant. And so as Dave, who has the most substantial sort of string of comments to make, as he's going through the budget, I think it would be better to have people muted, just to sort of control the chatter. And then maybe Dave could plan to stop a third of the way through and ask if anybody has questions, and then another third and another third. Does that sound okay, Dave?
We can do that if you want me going that in depth. I wasn't planning to. So again, I was planning on doing the overview that would only take like 1 or 2 minutes at most. And then once that overview is done, if people have questions, then we can dive further in depth into each section. But I wasn't really planning on initially going into depth on any of them. It was more like this is, you know, up or down whatever percent because this 1 or 2 reasons, and then the next thing, and then just be done with it as the summary, and then go into details if people ask questions.
Okay. So do you really think it'll only take 1 or 2 minutes to go through that whole thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well then, what do you all think about the idea of leaving questions until Dave is through?
Oh, that's a good idea. Whatever
I think
you
it makes sense, just like any of the other warrant things, whether it's the ETFs or the CRFs, et cetera. I think it makes sense to go through and like, okay, this is what, you know, we're asking for the same amount as 2019 and 2020 for all of these funds, except the technology fund got added last year. We're asking for a little less so that it starts to build up. But we will be needing to use it, so we're not just going to not fund it. And like, there's a summary, you're done, you've covered it, and then someone can ask further questions afterwards. And so like, that's the same sort of thing that I'm planning with the budget, to keep it simple and quick unless people ask more. We may want to, at the public hearing portion, since it's more of a practice for us, we may want to also act as if someone asked for more details and then go into that detail, just so that we know that we are prepared to answer that.
Well, that's why I so hope people ask questions. I mean, it's, you know, it's really good for us, and it's really good prep for us for a town meeting when people show up to ask questions. So, you know, I guess we're going to have to just play it by ear and see if anybody shows up, and then invite people to ask the questions that they want answered. I mean, I hope that they would feel free to do that, even though they're muted during the time that portion of the presentation is being given.
I think maybe it makes sense to, let's see, I think maybe it makes sense to have a standard set of questions that whether people ask or not at the public hearing, we act as if they did. And so that might be, for example, can you go into a little bit more detail on why that is increased or decreased and what that means for our taxes and what is it used for? And so, for example, talking about police, well, they're the police, and it's up because we needed to make wages closer to what other towns are.
You know, let me suggest something too. Normally, the town administrator covers certain aspects of the warrant. Also, Emmett and Steve are always there to respond to questions on fire, roads, and police affairs. So
that's true.
I think,
and I assume we're expecting them for the public hearing.
We should be there.
Yes.
We are expecting.
Yeah. So, you know, I would really suggest maybe even, I don't know, having Steve do the police portion? Wait a minute. Do we want to do that? Normally not. Normally, I think one of us does that part of the warrant. But any questions that are asked about Steve or Emmett's domain, they come up and they answer those questions.
Yeah, because it's generic budget, so one of us would normally be going through it, and
Right.
then yeah, if someone, well, why is this line item this? Then Steve or Emmett, could you please come mention
Right.
this?
Right. Dana, is there something in the warrant that you would like to speak to?
There isn't anything in particular. I am very familiar with the budget, and I think I'm familiar with the warrant. So if you needed me to speak about anything, I certainly could.
Okay, well, I think I'm probably going to.
Okay.
So I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would then guess that there would be a couple places that would make the most sense for the town administrator to talk about, or for example, Michelle to talk about. And that would be like the government buildings or the elections section, because I assume they'll both be there. Yeah, and I noticed, Michelle, you've got your hand raised thing going on.
I did. I had a question.
Yes.
Wow.
Will we handle the budget hearing the way we've done in the past, with the moderator reading the warrant article and pretty much running the meeting? Not running the meeting, but pretending it's town meeting?
Yep.
Okay. I know I
Oh,
can't.
really?
Yeah, that's really great. Have you have not seen Mike Jetty in action yet, have you, Dana?
No, I've met him, but I've never seen a moderator run a budget hearing.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, well,
We call it the mock town meeting.
that's what we call it, mock town
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
So it's an opportunity for him to run through it too. So
Okay.
everybody sort of gets a chance to rehearse their part. And I like that, because I want to see, pretty much all of us involved with doing this. And which is why I want you to have a part, Dana.
Okay, well, thank you for not leaving me out.
Well, yeah, besides which, there are probably going to be a few people there, either in February or in April, that have never met you. So
Right,
it's important
yeah.
that they,
Sure. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, so 6:30 we start, and Mike will run things, and he'll queue us up on each warrant article. And this is such a short warrant. I think we're going to be fine.
If we have another hour town meeting this year, I will be shocked.
We're going to.
I hope so. That was the greatest thing. But it is.
I think we will, because I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of people, because there's not much on the warrant.
Right.
And
Not
there aren't
controversial.
really options for, like, no one's going to show up to wonder who won a vote on something, most likely. So, I mean, I think the only one that was contested was the cemetery trustee, I think. So
Maybe. I had a thought about that. The warrant itself is so short. Dee, I'm wondering if we could ask you to print a one-page warrant.
Oh,
in
sure.
the grapevine. And
Yeah, I
then
probably could do that.
that would be a great way to get that out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And Dana, in terms of the number of actual town reports you're going to print off, how have you and Russ been talking about that?
Well, Russ and I are planning to do the town reports in-house. We also have a few volunteers to help us toward the end to collate it and put it together. And we have I'm gathering the reports and what needs to go in it. And Russ is doing a lot of the computer insert it, get it together type thing to ready to be run. So I think we're coming along well on it. We did have a few entries for the picture contest. So we've gotten a few nice pictures, which I will be showing you to have you decide which ones you think might be appropriate. So I think we're headed in the right direction.
Okay. Do you have a feeling for how many reports you're going to need to run off?
Well, I've asked many people and I get different answers, but I would think that we probably should run between 100 and 150.
I think you're right.
You know, I don't know how many did last year. I would hate not to have one, and yes, we could print one fairly quickly, but I'd like to be able to have it so we could hand it to people.
So if town meeting is going to be, well, do you have to, is there a law that says when you have to have the town report printed by?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's March 2nd, I believe, or 4th,
Okay.
March 4th.
March
Yeah.
4th.
Yeah.
Well, and so if we're not going to have the meeting until April, you'll get a really good sense of, because, you know, people will come in and pick theirs up usually on
Right.
Russ's desk.
Right.
So you'll
We'd
get
have them available in the clerk's office so that when people come to see Michelle, they could take a report, or Russ will have them. So we'll try and get as many out as we can.
I would suggest that it might make sense to print and bind up a few at a time, as opposed to trying to get all of them done at once, since we're going to be handing them out ahead of time. That way we don't have to waste more of your time than, like, we don't want to waste your time by doing a bunch of these that people don't pick up, for example.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know, I think that's a really good idea. If you do them, say, 50 at a time. Of course, the problem with breaking it up that way is that if you have a town report put together day, you know, then you've got all your volunteers there together helping you, and you know, it's sort of it can be fun. But if you're going to break it up into thirds, then not so much, I guess. But a lot of people, a lot of reports don't get taken.
Well, I think if I have a supply of reports, and whether it's 50 at a time, and I see it's getting down that I only have 3 or 4 left, I would do another batch.
Right.
I guess. Yeah.
And I'd be happy to volunteer to help you with that, by the way.
Thank you.
I would too, and I have plenty of experience collating and making.
God knows she does.
Yep.
Russ is in charge of that because I'm terrible collating things, but good to know what you're not good at. That's one of them.
It takes a little bit of age to recognize that, doesn't it? You think back on all the things that you haven't been good at. So
Right, exactly.
okay, well, is there anything else that we need to cover? Okay, then I'm going to move to adjourn this meeting.
Oh my God.
This
That's
doesn't
early.
happen often.
I know.
That was
Oh,
easy.
wait, what, Dave?
Oh, I was just hitting the easy button. That was easy.
Oh,
This is my supper, so this is my cool supper.
so we do have minutes that we can look over, but everybody make sure that you read all the minutes by next Monday, and then we'll have an easy time going through them.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I move to adjourn this meeting at 7:36 p.m. Is there a second? Oh, good going,
Ah.
Dave. Excellent. Well done for you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Well, good night, all.
I'm going to have
Have a
my
wonderful
supper.
night,
Good night.
everybody.
Good night.
Night.